Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason, and today's coverage of the ongoing civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia, the fighting continues. We're seeing some rather interesting developments today taking place that I wanted to cover. First and foremost, as always with this channel, we get right into the meat and potatoes. There is no long drawn out synopsis of what may be happening, and then finally ending with what is you're waiting to hear about. But first and foremost, right now is the operations that are taking place in the western Tigray region. We're really starting to see three areas in which the Tigrayan Defense Forces are operating in its intent and its efforts to reclaim the western Tigray region. Now, first and foremost, we have continued to see operations within the vicinity of Shiraro, engaging forces of the Eritrean army. It would appear that fighting has lessened a bit, and it would also appear that Shiraro and the areas west of Shiraro have been utilized as a staging ground for the Tigrayan Defense Forces in operations that would take place in the northwestern Tigray region. And in fact, now we are starting to see the TDF crossing the Tigray River and taking over terrain in what would be the northeastern quadrant of western Tigray. Specifically, we have heard reports of several thousand Tigray forces crossing over the Tigray River and are surrounding various towns and settlements in northeastern western Tigray, specifically towns such as Birkota and other areas have come under the target of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And now we are hearing that, in fact, large areas of the northeastern quadrant of western Tigray, where my cursor is circling, is now under the control of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Now, with that being said, you can also see other developments taking place. As we know, the TDF has also been active in the southeastern quadrant of western Tigray as well. So again, we're seeing operations where the TDF is moving into the northeastern quadrant, taking control of Birkota and other areas. We're also seeing continued operation in the southeastern quadrant of western Tigray, where they are moving in. Again, we estimate those numbers to be in the thousands, operating in the southeastern quadrant of western Tigray. And additionally, we have not been able to confirm this as of yet, but we are hearing chatter and we are hearing discussions that, in fact, the Tigrayan Defense Forces, with the approval of the Sudanese government, have taken control of the town of Brecht and could be using various camps and other bases just across the border in the eastern Sudan to launch operations into western Tigray. And specifically, we may see an operation at some point towards Hamora, and we could also see an operation on May Kadera as well, and that would be here. But again, it would appear that we are seeing three very significant operational areas by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. First and foremost, continued operations in the southeastern quadrant of western Tigray. We're now seeing a heavy uptick in operations by the Tigrayan Defense Forces in northeastern Tigray, or the northeastern quadrant of western Tigray. And then we're also seeing now a uptick in operations in the cross-border operations with elements of the TDF that have been training and operating on the Sudanese side of the Tigray-Sudan border. So again, there definitely appears to be a concentrated operation to apply pressure to western Tigray with the intent of evicting the Amhara regional militias that have illegally taken over Western Tigray. At the same time, the external threat of the army of Eritrea, which has also occupied areas in Western Tigray and continues to support the Abiy regime in various parts of the former state of Ethiopia, specifically the main power base right now within the former state of Ethiopia is the town of Hamara, where there are significant elements of the Eritrean army operating in this town. And again, they then are able to move from Himora to other areas such as northwestern Amhara region, and then are then deployed into other areas where they are needed in the ongoing civil war that is taking place throughout this former nation state. Specifically, the Western Oromia region continues to be on utter fire. The OLA, the Oromo Liberation Army, continues to grow. They appear to be having more success in taking, seizing, and controlling towns in Western Oromia than other areas of the Oromia region, such as Eastern Oromia. But right now, it is becoming very difficult for the Abiy loyalist formations to operate, as I've talked about in previous videos, in Western Oromia. We continue to see an uptick in attacks on convoys, and now we're also starting to see a uptick in the Abiy loyalist airstrikes on targets in Western Oromia. Specifically, we're starting to see more drone strikes and more fixed-wing aircraft strikes on targets in Western Oromia. So again, more times than not, it would appear that the federal forces are launching airstrikes on its own civilian population. Many of these airstrikes, with the exception of the drone attacks, are not precision guided attacks, but they come over, they fire rockets, they fire bombs, or they'll do 30 millimeter cannon runs, 23 millimeter cannon runs on some targets on the ground as well. So again, it is a very dire situation for some of those civilian towns in Western Oromia that are now coming under the attack of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces Air Force, the Abiy loyalist Air Force, which is being utilized to attack, in many cases, unfortunately, civilian targets. And the reason for that, again, is a lot of these aircraft simply do not have a precision-guided attack capability. They don't have attack pods, advanced attack pods to identify targets on the ground and then attack them with laser-guided bombs. They just don't have that capability with their aircraft outside of the use of some of these drones. Now, with that being said, we are starting to see, and we have been seeing, especially in the Tigray region, kind of the indiscriminate use of even drone attacks on targets. So it would appear that some of these drone operators have the ability to launch these attacks on even suspected targets. And a lot of times these suspected targets that the Abiy loyalists are actually attacking are simply civilian convoys, either moving out of the area because of recent airstrikes or recent fighting, or trying to go someplace to simply gain food. And in fact, because of the anaconda strategy being utilized in Western Tigray and other parts of the Tigray region, that continues to be an issue as well. Again, the indiscriminate use of air power in the Tigray region, specifically right now, really southeastern Tigray and then towards Abala. As that fighting continues, we continue to see those cross-border raids by afar regional special forces units or paramilitary marauder type units looking to cross over and gain spoils of war. That operate more like bandits as opposed to normal military formations. The real unfortunate issue is that some of these formations are actually being supported by the Ethiopian Air Force in terms of launching ground attack strikes on targets. in southeastern and eastern Tigray region. But again, that's kind of where we're sitting right now in terms of today's update. We're watching very, very closely the operations in western Tigray. The current operations in western Tigray really have the hallmarks of what occurred in the Tenbian region in terms of the preparation and then the prosecution of the final offensive that evicted the Abiy loyalists, the Eritrean army, and the Amhara regional militias from the eastern Tigray region, especially near Mekelle. So again, we're seeing some of those same strategies being implemented in western Tigray. And again, we will continue to report and give information about what is occurring. We anticipate that what is happening in Europe between Ukraine and Russia will take precedent in all the major media networks, pending what Russia eventually does. We will continue here at Military and Foreign Affairs Network to cover judiciously and repetitively the ongoing conflict in the former state of Ethiopia. Have a good day, everybody.